Good evening. Today is January 14th, 2014. This is the regular meeting of the Oak Lawn Board of Trustees, number 2014-01. Please take the roll.
President Barry?
Here.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan will not be here tonight. Trustee Olenichik?
Here.
Trustee Desmond?
Here.
Trustee Carberry?
Here.
And Trustee Vorder?
Here.
We have a quorum. And I'd just like to welcome Dr. Sherry Miller from Fox College with her students tonight, and they're in a government class, so I said they came to the right place, so I hope you enjoy the meeting.
Thank you. Before we start public comments, I'm going to turn the floor over to our village manager, Larry Deachin, for a few preliminary remarks today. Could you...
Are we doing the Pledge of Allegiance?
Oh, let's do the pledge first.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Larry, you have the floor.
Well, thank you, Mayor, Mayor and Board, and I'm pleased to see students from Fox College because Fox College was established in Oak Lawn in 1939. And we wish you were here, but maybe if you talk to your professors and the management of your university, they'll want to return to this community. As the board knows, we had a very, very difficult budget year, and we had a increase in the number of public meetings and discussion of some issues to try to balance our budget. These are difficult times for all governments, state, federal, county, and local level. In the process of trying to balance that budget, we had some very difficult choices to make. And we had to work with employee groups across the board, and one of the more difficult ones had to do with our emergency dispatchers. The village is very pleased. We have a fine dispatch center. It's a regional center. It provides services for police and fire in Oak Lawn, Burbank, in Evergreen Park, and in Bridgeview, and that's police and fire both. Fire only for Bedford Park, and fire only for Stickney District, which is just north of Midway Airport. All fine customers, and our customers had come to us and said that the costs are rising at a level that we cannot sustain nor afford to continue with your center. Technology costs are driving costs up and labor. So we began a very lengthy negotiations process over 13 months, a lot of give and take on the part of both labor and management. And I'm here to report tonight, and I'd like to thank all of the men and women of our telecommunications center, our attorneys, our professional staff, management team who worked so hard on this, and we have reached a tentative agreement. I'm going to keep my comments brief. We will be preparing a joint statement to approve by both legal counsel, both parties. But in essence, the agreement that's been reached will be to settle all disputes and claims between the parties and to move forward in a fair and just manner for taxpayers, for our employees, and for our private provider, Norcom, which begins those services on January 22nd. So again, I'd like to thank the board. I know that this was not easy. Trustee Vorder, on a couple occasions, I know you stood very tall and difficult, and you sent a message that talking together here is better than allowing a third party to make a decision on your future. And that's what happened today. 9 hours of mediation. We had an excellent mediator from the Illinois State Labor Board, and we had men and women from both management and labor, and an excellent mediator who sat down back and forth, listened to the facts, tried to understand each other's side, and that's really what it ought to be. It ought to be labor and management talking to each other rather than using third parties that have no connection with this village and make decisions that are tantamount to tax increases. So the process worked here, and I thank the telecommunicators for working with us. Thank you, Mayor.
Great news, Larry. Thank you. I also have some happy news to share before we get started about an Oaklawn establishment. Everyone was really sad when Flapjacks closed their doors on 111th and Cicero. They realized, the closure was to make room for something even better in Oaklawn. And I'm very, very excited to say that in the next few days also, you'll see an exciting announcement about their new beginning in Oaklawn. And we can hardly wait. I love Flapjacks, so some really positive things to start the meeting with. I'm going to move on to our public comments now. Mr. Ronald Kapp, about various matters. Could you please state your name, sir, and if you're an Oaklawn resident?
My name is Ron Kapp. I live in the 3rd District.
Thank you.
Okay, probably my hair's a mess. I washed it this morning. I can't do anything with it. Besides them making a contribution of labor and money, I would like to know what the qualifications are for the 2 people you appointed for treasurer and his assistant. I mean, did they have like CPA degrees, or did they just take up high school math? How far did their education in that extend? So if they could answer that, I would appreciate it.
Okay. He's not here, so
He's not here?
we'll allow him an opportunity to
Okay.
address that.
The next thing is that the snow we had, last snow, who's responsible for buying 1 load of salt and calling it a day? Because in the past, with the boards we had, when we had the village managers before Larry Deachin, right after a snow, you couldn't eat, the snow was plowed and salted, and that was it. I've used to take my dog and hook him up to the sled, and let my kids sit on the sled and take them tried to take them on the street, but I had to keep them on the sidewalk or on the grass, the parkway. This time, even on 95th Street, my granddaughter was driving to work, I think it was Monday morning or whatever, and she hit her brakes to stop, and she just slid right on through the intersection. Now, 95th Street, Cicero and Central have always been cleared of snow and salt because they are thoroughfares, very heavy thoroughfares. So maybe in your next budget, you might put in for maybe 2 tons of salt instead of 1. Maybe that will work for you. My next question, and this has been bothering me for quite some time, who's responsible for bringing businesses to Oaklawn?
Every
they keep
every
bringing-
single person is, sir.
Every single person up there. Why do they keep bringing in doctors, lawyers, medical buildings, banks especially? I think there's probably about 20 banks along 95th Street. Banks, all they do is pay you property tax. You get businesses, let's say, like the one you were just talking about, the Pancake House. They collected a sales tax. All your stores, they collect sales tax. Now we're going to be hurt by Kenwood because in Evergreen Park, they opened up a liquor warehouse. And that's going to be more taxes going to Evergreen Park than would come to Oaklawn. Evergreen Park, they got a store called Costs. I don't know what it's like. I've never heard of it until they advertised it. But it's another business that they got that Oaklawn probably could have had but lost out on. So we're going to have Mariano's. Now,
It's your 3 minutes, sir. Yeah.
Huh?
We have a 3-minute limit.
Okay,
so, yeah,
Mariano's hasn't even begun to dig a hole in the ground. When are they going to start that? Thank you.
Thank you. I believe they've been working very hard underground, sir, and once the weather thaws, I think you'll be impressed what you see. Thank you. Next is Mr. John Thompson. Mr. Thompson, would you like to speak? Okay, we're going to go to John Volakakis. And I can't quite read your writing about the topic, sir. Something variance?
Impervious variances.
Impervious,
Again,
that's what
as
that's-
usual. Happy New Year. If you you would like it to be, but we still got, John Volokakis, Oak Lawn. New year, but we're still with the same old problems. I see there's an item on the agenda for a variation for impervious building in Oak Lawn. I don't get what it is. Been to a lot of planning development and Board of Trustee meetings trying to explain to people. I don't know, I guess we got to back it up, take a 099 class in flooding. All this impervious, as a lot of people might be aware, all it does is run off people, it causes more runoff on lots, goes into the systems, goes downstream to where the village, the lower areas in the village, and floods people. So, I mean, the current one that's on the agenda is on 98th Street. 98th Street to 102nd Street, where my daughter lives, is a 20-foot drop in elevation. So you guess where all that water goes, okay? So all the times I've been here, all the times I've been to other meetings, all I get is, I have gotten a very nice presentation from somebody, but I don't want a nice presentation. It's hard to believe that out of all these people and planning and development, which I think is usually at least 8 people sitting on that board, and the people sitting on this board, I think probably in the last couple years, there's probably been about 200 to maybe 2, to oppose passing impervious variations. I just don't get it. I don't know how many times it could be explained for people to understand it. I mean, you just don't understand, what it's like. Like the other day when we had the thaw, sitting around waiting for the call that my daughter's flooding and other people in the neighborhood are flooding. You can't live like this, without a whole high level of stress. Every time it rains, you can't go on vacation. You got to make arrangements for somebody to come to your house if it rains, to come and man the pumps, and maybe have to move the furniture, put it on blocks, tear the carpeting up, tear the drywall out. Every time you're anticipating a major storm, I don't know why you just can't do what is right. After time after time after time talking about this, I've seen this board go 6-0 in favor of the impervious. I mean, this has been a problem that's been going on for years. Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago has had problems with Oak Lawn with all this excess runoff and into the sewer systems, and it's still a problem. And now we got Mariano's coming in, as everybody knows. Right now, all that runoff, they're building that lot up 2 feet higher. All that runoff is going into Wolf Lake, which is part of the Stony Creek East Basin, which all that does is add even more flooding and adds it faster. Granted, there's rain there before, but that lot was so low and so unlevel and so broken up, it probably absorbed a whole lot. Now, we're going to build up even higher and have more runoff. I just don't get it. Like I said, I don't know what it's going to take, for people, to understand how this is contributing. Like I said, you're going to get people that you get a benefit of having an add-on family room to play bunko. You're going to have somebody have a nicer garage so they can play with their popcorn wagon in their garage.
3 minutes, please.
Well, in the meantime, people downstream are flooding and losing value, not just money, but losing value on their houses.
Thank you very much. Mr. John Eggert. John is going to talk about the planning and development appointments.
Madam President, trustees.
Are you an Oak Lawn resident, sir?
I am, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Item 24C on tonight's agenda refers to planning and development appointments. There were three positions that expired December 31st of 2013. One was a District 5 appointee who was being reappointed. One is an at-large appointee who is being reappointed. And there is a new appointee for District 6 for somebody who will no longer be serving. And there is a 4th appointment for another at-large. I spoke to Chairman Gray this afternoon. He had no knowledge that anybody was being replaced. He had a question as to who or what the purpose of this 4th appointment was, and I would also like to I'd like to clarify that for both myself, the other members of the commission, and for Chairman Gray. And that was going to be the only comment, except I have 2 more. One is I would like to make it make it known to the board that we greatly appreciate the service from Mr. Conley on the Planning and Development Commission. He's a very valuable asset, and I hope that because you have him sitting up here, you don't take him away from us. And the last thing is in response to what the gentleman said. Honestly, in 2013, I don't think we had a dozen impervious surface variation applications. We had, for sure, less than 1 a month. So The only question I have is, can we get some clarification on that fourth appointment that's up tonight? Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Absolutely, you certainly will. And thank you for coming out, Jen. Okay, next, Mike Sutko, and you're going to talk about Public Works, I believe, sir.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I'm Mike Sutko from 5th District. I've been a long-time village person, and I'm pretty happy with the way things are going in the village, actually. And I wanted to mention today about Steve Barrett and the Public Works Department. I had planned to come out here a couple of months ago when they were very active in the Fall on the Green and Santa on the Green and then the 4th of July parade. Steve and his group do a fabulous job in getting things ready for us to participate in these activities and putting them up and taking them down, and their attitudes are always more than cooperative, and I wanted to thank them for that. But there's a second thing I wanted to mention also, and that is, I don't know if any of you have ever picked up a copy of the minutes that are on the table outside of Jane's office, but I've been on many committees in my life. I have never seen more complete or comprehensive minutes in my life than that taken by Jane Quinlan. And those minutes are available for all of the villagers to look at. And if you ever want to know what's going on, you don't even have to be here. Read the minutes, and they are so precise that you'll really get a lot out of them. So, Jane, thanks for all you do on that.
Thanks a lot, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. And we are done with public comments. Item 4, conflict of interest disclosure. Does any board member have any conflict of interest to disclose with any item on tonight's agenda? Hearing none, we're going to move on to item 5, approval of meeting minutes. This is the special meeting minutes 2013-25, dated December 10th, 2013. May I have a motion, please, on item 5?
Motion to approve, Madam
Properly
President.
moved by trustee Vorder, seconded by trustee Carberry. Any discussion? Please take the roll.
Trustee Straight?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry? Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Item 6 is approval of meeting minutes of the special meeting minutes 2013-26, dated December 10th, 2013. May I have a motion on item 6, please?
Motion made, Madam President.
Properly moved by trustee Vorder and seconded by trustee Carberry. Any discussion, please? Take the roll.
Trustee Straight?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Moving on to item 7, which is the approval of meeting minutes of the regular meeting minutes 2013-27, dated December 10th, 2013. May I have a motion, please, on item 7?
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by trustee Carberry,
Second.
seconded by trustee Vorder. Any discussion? Please take the roll.
Trustee Straight?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry? Yes. Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Moving on to new business by village trustees, District 1, trustee Desmond.
Thank you, Mayor. As we say farewell to 2013 and welcome in a new 2014, I would like to give just a brief synopsis of what our residents can expect to see as far as new development in Oak Lawn. So as you can see on the screen, we have some new developments, some under construction. We have the new Mariano's on 111th Street. Below that, we have the ongoing construction with Christ Hospital. The next two developments are ongoing. Sorry, excuse me. Here we have the completed Little Company of Mary on 95th Street, opened in spring 2013. Bluestone, just east of Christ Hospital, that also opened 2013. This is a new proposed building right across from Little Company of Mary, also on 95th Street. New development where the current Carpet One Interiors, Christ Hospital. This is a new bank, 95th and McVicker, which is going to be right next to a new Walgreens. 19th Cicero, Advanced Auto Parts. We have, I believe, 9 new homes under construction in Oak Lawn right now. We have, sorry, excuse me. This one in, I think, Terry, this is in your district. Trustees Street, I think we have two new homes, or three new homes going up in your district. I think this is in Carroll's district. Got 2 new homes going up in the first district. So it's just a quick synopsis of how times are changing. It shows the confidence the business sector has in the pro-development atmosphere in Oak Lawn. It shows the residential builders are coming back. So with due respect to the gentleman who spoke about the impervious ground conditions, hopefully John and the rest of the P&D Development Committee can take a look at that. One other comment about the recent cold weather and the severe snowstorms. I would just like to commend our public works people, our police officers, our ambulance drivers, firefighters, our salt truck and plough drivers. These guys didn't have the luxury of staying home when the weather got cold. They still had to go out and do their work in brutal conditions. And while all the streets might not have been ploughed the way we would have liked, I know my own street took a little while, but I knew they were going to get there at some stage. You know, when these guys have to take care of every street, from Harlem Avenue to Pulaski, from 87th Street to 111th Street, unfortunately, not every street can be done right away. And now, Larry, please forgive me for saying this. I actually heard that these guys work so hard that even Mr. Deacon was able to keep his car on the road. So I think that they will tell you that our public works guys did a better job than their counterparts in Palisades. So with that, I'll conclude my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Wonderful. District 2, please.
How do you follow that? Well, Happy New Year. I just wanted to let the residents know in 2nd District, some of the things that we've been working on and we can look forward to is the turning lane on Central and Southwest Highway. We're through a majority of the work. Right now, we're in property acquisition, and we should be able to break ground sometime in the future.
Yes, we're hoping so.
And that being sometime in the spring or in the summer. We also have on the agenda tonight, the signal modernization of Cicero. Cicero. Oh, excuse me. You got me so flustered. Cicero and Southwest Highway, which is something that we've been working on for over 2 years. From the neighborhood issue, we've had a couple of major incidences in 2nd District, which are a little bit disturbing, but the police, the fire, and our public works did a great job in making sure that that everybody was taken care of. The police were in on the investigation, were able to take care of finding out who the individual was that was involved in it, and right now we have a suspect that has been charged and is in prison waiting his due process. On a couple of the burglaries that have happened in the local neighborhoods, through fast action of the police, again, another suspect was apprehended. Information was put out throughout the neighborhoods, making the residents aware of exactly how the individual acted and what the residents could do to make their home safer. So With that, I've been talking to Trustee Voiderer with his vast police experience, and we talked about reinstating something that, as a police officer, he was successful with, and that's block captains. We share a district, a precinct or two, and also Trustee Desmond and I share a district or two, and the goal is to be able to identify an area where we have high incidences of issues. After we identify that, find residents that are willing to be block captains or gatekeepers for that neighborhood. And we have noticed that senior citizens don't take advantage of the technology that's out there because they don't know how to use it, or maybe they don't understand it. Not all of them use that. So the thought process is being able to combine people in the neighborhood that can not only act as a gatekeeper for the neighborhood, but also be able to relay information quickly. After we do the beta test, and that we're looking to kick off within the next month or two with working with the police, then hopefully this program will work and we'll be able to push it out village-wide. But it's important, the safety of our neighborhoods. There's not a person here that isn't concerned about their neighbors or their relatives in the village of Oak Lawn. And I can tell you that with working with the police, and Police Chief Murray has often said this: if there is something in your neighborhood that looks askew or different, call 911. If anything looks out of place, call 911. Police can react to that and investigate. There's other things that you can do in your own homes very quickly by just putting motion detector lights in the front and the backyard that can actually help deter some criminals. But that is something that we, Trustee Voider and I, and Trustee Desmond and I, are going to be working on to put the block captain or gatekeeper in the neighborhoods to see what we can do to help the police, not replace the police. And I challenge all residents to see what they could do by watching out for their neighbors. I know in neighborhoods where people know their neighbors, it makes for a safer place to live. With that in mind, I want to thank all the volunteers that with this bad weather that we had. Remember, we had snow on Friday, snow on Saturday, snow on Sunday, and then we had negative 20 and 30 degrees below zero on Sunday and Monday and Tuesday. We have a senior snow shoveling program that there are over 30 children that volunteered for it, and many other adults supplement it. And through their efforts, residents were taken care of. I know that it wasn't as quick as some residents would like, and I know that with the weather that was limiting the amount of time people could be outdoor, or even if it was safely to be out there, I know a lot of the residents and seniors that were taken care of were very, very happy. What I ask anybody here is if you have any time, if you can volunteer. We have about a half a more winter to go. Hopefully we won't see the same type of weather conditions. Pardon me. But anybody that would like to volunteer to help out seniors can call up, and the program works by putting you involved in your neighborhood. I know Officer Passetti is the gatekeeper for gathering that information and matching people up, and people who have called me, I've been able to help them find assignments. It doesn't have to be, at this point, every day. We would like to be able to get every resident 100% of the time, but we are limited by how many volunteers that we have. So I would ask if you have the ability to volunteer, or what I saw in this last snowstorm were people that just went and did an extra 2 or 3 houses, or know their seniors in their neighborhood, and help them out. That's the Oak Lawn that I know and love to live in, and I know we'll continue to have a good community base when we help each other out. That concludes my report.
Thank you. District 3, Trustee Straight.
Thank you. The first question that I have is, I see that, Trustee Quinlan isn't here tonight. I had spoken with her earlier in the week, and she indicated that she was going to request to participate by telephonic conference. Did she request
you're absolutely
that?
correct. Yeah, and I sent her the phone number, and she called at 10 after 7 tonight and said she was extremely busy with work and highly doubted she would be able to call in. But if she got finished early, I said the phone's right here, so
Okay,
she's welcome to call.
Okay. Oh, I appreciate, thank you. She
You're
had told me
welcome.
she was concerned about whether or not the board would allow her to participate, so I'm glad
I
that
don't think there was
that's
a
not
problem
an
with
issue.
that.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
And
Yeah, it would require board approval, but.
I understand that,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And I have a few other things, but the manager, I'm not sure, maybe he can't talk about it tonight. the settlement that he announced with the telecommunicators. I just, because I'm not clear on if that means that the telecommunicators are coming back to work for us. Are the ones that we had working here, are they still here?
As Trustee Strike knows, the board took action in December and approved entering into an agreement with Norcom. The paper incorrectly reported that the agreement was signed prior to board approval. That was not correct. The contract was only executed after board had taken action. We've made every effort to speak with the union and work with the union, and today was a very productive meeting with a conclusion that will result in, I'm quite sure, though the employment decision is Norcom's, not the village, some of the dispatchers continuing on as employees of Norcom, and others that will be accepting positions in the private sector, the public sector, at their own choice. The dispatch center will continue here in Oak Lawn, across from those doors. It still will remain a regional center, and those employees, through a staffing agreement of Norcom, will be embedded in providing the services. And I'm quite confident that after the interview process is complete, that we will have a core of outstanding Oak Lawn employees still continuing to serve us.
Okay, I thought what you said was that all matters with the telecommunicators will be resolved.
They are all resolved. Any
with
and all, the
ULP?
phrase, let me restate it, trustee, and there will be a statement jointly approved, but it has to be reviewed because we negotiated from 9:30, mediated from 9:30 to 6:30 tonight. We were prepared to issue a joint statement, but it requires the Executive Council of MAP to approve that statement. They were not prepared between 6:30 and 7:30 to sign off on that agreement, and we agreed. They needed some time. Okay. I'm quite confident the agreement will be signed off, but the phrase that will be included in that agreement is any and all disputes have been resolved as part of this agreement. Any and all disputes. The litigation was filed by the telecommunicators against the Village of Oak Lawn. Make no mistake about it, an unfair labor practice is a lawsuit. So under the terms of the Illinois state law, and we're a country of laws, we followed the procedure. The Illinois Labor Board asked us to consider mediation. I'm a strong believer in mediation. I think both parties talking together is a proper way to conduct labor management relations. So we agreed to do that, and then the union was asked, would they also agree, and I'm proud to say they agreed. And it was a very, very productive session today.
You're not prepared to talk about the terms of the settlement?
It would be inappropriate for me
Okay.
until the document has been signed by all parties. I will say this, again, the principle that we've always followed, and you as a board have always given me direction on, I thank you, is to be fair and just. Fair and just for taxpayers, fair and just for our employees, and I believe that embodied in this agreement and the fact that we've settled any and all disputes, that reflects that principle being achieved.
Well, I'll be very interested to see that settlement agreement, of
I'm
course.
sure
So,
you will.
Yes. So we have outsourced the service, so.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. All right. A lot has happened since our last meeting on December 10th. And I guess I'd like to say I wish everybody a Happy New Year. I've been getting a lot of phone calls and emails from residents in my district on a number of issues. And many times I'm really not sure how to answer those questions that I've been receiving, emails and phone calls, because, quite frankly, I don't have the answers. I have not received any communication on some of these issues from the mayor or the manager. And I think, like many people in the Village of Oak Lawn, I've been kept in the dark. First of all, we have the incident with the village manager driving his vehicle into a ditch in Palos Park and
Trustee
abandoning it there.
Anything
Now,
related to the,
you know what, this is my new business report. You know what, and I'm surprised. You don't want to take the opportunity to address it. That's your choice. But I do have a
Trustee Straight,
responsibility.
you're
I have
welcome
people
to make a
asking-
motion to move it to executive session. As you know, the Open Meetings Act allows exemptions for the discipline, performance, or dismissal of employees, so.
Okay, well, that's fine. If that's where you want to handle it, that's okay.
That's fine. I'm happy to discuss it, and-
I'm getting people asking me questions. I'd like to be able to give them an honest answer, okay? We also have the issue where we're paying an employee and contracting with his company as well. Now, I do understand that the state's attorney is investigating that matter. But I think I'd like to know more about it myself. We also, as has been widely reported, we did run out of salt. And we also had some real issues with garbage pickup in the community this past week. In particular, when the garbage pickup was canceled on Monday, we were immediately, and residents were told that the garbage would be picked up the following day. In many instances, the truck came out that same day, causing some people to miss their pickup. The real issue here, to me, is just simply a lack of communication that we owe to our residents. I also heard a number of people say that they saw one truck picking up both the solid waste and the recycling, putting it in the same truck. And I'm concerned about that because of the effort that we've made to have a very successful recycling program whereby we split the recycling proceeds on a 50-50 basis with the hauler. So I would like to know how this past week's activity will affect the 50-50 split that we have. Now, I do know that the manager plans on giving a report shortly, and on that report is the weather event, but I hope that both he and the mayor will address all of these issues as well, because the people of Oak Lawn deserve nothing less than complete transparency. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Straight. We're going to move on to District 4.
Thank you,
Trustee
Madam President.
Border.
On a positive note, first off, Larry, congratulations on your work with this very tough issue with our dispatch center. I'm thrilled tonight to hear that we're moving forward and we have reached some type of an agreement with our employees.
Thank you.
Good job, Mr. Manager. And just to follow up on Trustee Desmond's comments on the weather, you know, I read in the Tribune, okay, that this has probably been the snowiest and worst winter so far in 35 years. And it seemed to me that all the snow fell last week and then backed right up, okay, to some sub-zero temperature. Now, I read on some of the blogs and on some of the patches that people were not happy with the way that the village plowed their streets. But I want the street department and I want Public Works to know that I received phone calls from my constituents telling me what a great job they did, and they gave me their names. Okay, so, you know, you did a great job. I got everywhere I wanted to go. Did I get there as fast as I wanted to? But I got there, okay? And I know those guys put a lot of time and effort into making Village of Oak Lawn a safe community. As the police liaison, I would like to take the time or a minute to report on accomplishments of our Oak Lawn Emergency Management Agency. This is a division of the police department and our fire department. Now, the agency's major activities designed to promote preparations and preparedness on behalf of residents on emergency situations, major emergency situations. And some of what they were able to do in 2013 included a active shooter training video, which was done in cooperation with Christ Hospital back in March. I saw this video, and I would tell you it is a Hollywood quality production video. It's used as training not only for our police department and Christ Hospital employees, but other policing agencies should we have a major disaster or a worst case scenario of a shooting incident or something in that hospital. We also, on June 26th, did a tabletop exercise that included community partners such as our local schools, Advocate Christ Medical Center, the Red Cross, local funeral homes, Oaklawn Police and Fire, EMS departments, and some of us elected officials. Okay, this represented the first community-wide effort to prepare for the complexities of these major type events and both the short and long-term complications that occur when you have these events. Then on August 25th, there was a full-scale drill, okay, of an active shooter that took place at Oaklawn Community High School. This exercise included the participation of over 25 different agencies and almost 400 people. The exercise provided realistic hands-on training and experience for both the Oaklawn Police Department, Fire Department, and our surrounding agencies. Now, in the spring, we introduced a new tornado warning siren system, and it went through a number of months of testing. It included warnings in 5 languages. In November, we had a major weather situation, a true test of the system, and we found that there were some complications with it. But immediately, this village, the people that managed this village, the police department, took corrective action. We went back to a system similar to what we had, which is a siren signal. However, this system still allows this police department, not only mobile, but dispatch center, to warn this community through voice communications with the community of any major disaster. It's a good system. It was tweaked, and it's working much better. And then to back that weather system up, the police department participated with Walgreens in a program to provide weather radios at a discounted price. And that was a successful program. I myself bought one of those radios, and I have it in operation. Now, all this training and all this exercise was paid for by grants, which the police department, Commander Art Clark, acquired in the total of $127,807. So those are systems and training that were paid, given to the Village of Oaklawn and paid from outside sources. And since this system was put in place, we have gotten $1,875,000 in grants to create this whole emergency management system. I'm proud to say that the police department is working hard for us, and I think they have a lot more on the agenda for 2014. Is that right, Art? Yes, sir. Okay. And Tim, one more thing about the police department and Mike. The house that you showed in my district, it's been a long-term construction project. It's being built by a father for his son. It's got the best of everything put in it. I've looked at it, and a lot of his custom-made stuff has taken a long time to make. So that house has been under construction. But a couple of weeks ago, early in the morning, one of our patrol cars, patrolling the neighborhood, spotted an automobile parked down the street from that house and saw that it was running. Got out of the car and found the gentleman on the inside of the car, I would think pretending like he was sleeping. But that police officer, using investigative techniques, followed that up, saw some footprints in the snow, and followed them to that house. And in that house, he found his accomplice just about to steal whatever copper or anything he might find in there, and the arrest was made. And I believe that guy had 2 warrants out of Indiana, felony warrants were similar. And I always say, you know, crime happens, but at Oaklawn, this police department is good. And the best face you can put on a crime is to catch the offender. And that's the case they did. Thanks, Mike, and thank you, Mayor.
Great
That's all I
report.
have.
Great report. District 6.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a quick comment on with the Public Works. Not only, you know, buildings aren't designed, they would cost too much money, aren't designed to withstand, you know, weather below 10 degrees. And we went through, as everyone's mentioned, brutal conditions. And I think going after Steve Barrett and his group is would be unfortunate, because I can say this: meeting Steve Barrett, I'm proud to have met him. He's a he's a gentleman and just a really, just a class act, and he makes you want to be better. That's the way he is. He's met me at the nighttime. He's met me on Sundays and Saturdays. He's a class act, and I'm glad I know him. Does a great job. So not only our buildings can't take those kind of weather conditions, but either can the equipment. So I'm not speaking for Steve, but he could speak to that if need be. But those are a lot of challenges, and I think he's done a great job, and I'm proud to work with him. And as far as Mariano goes, they will be the first. Mariano's will be the first store open in 2015. That's the commitment. I met with the people myself, and it will be the first store in 2015. And as far as the impervious conditions, I think the engineers have taken every precaution
If I could,
possible, isn't it?
Trustee Carberry, because I did want to speak to the gentleman's concern, which I do believe overall is a valid concern. In order to obtain that permit from MWRD, the village and Hamilton Partners followed every procedure and requirement. There are already constructed 2 retention ponds which never existed. That entire area was impervious. There was no retention because it was built pre-regulations now that give attention to stormwater in 1976. So part of the construction already done by Hamilton Partners and their contractor are 2 large retention ponds and a approved MWRD permit. Mike.
Madam
Derek.
President, would you give me just one more second? I want to just comment on Fox College, okay? Fox College, I am a student of your school. Wasn't smart enough to graduate from your school, but I have 2 sisters that did, okay? Study hard. Your lives will be rewarded by the experiences you have at that college, I can assure you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Mike?
Can I go on, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm joking.
Sorry.
I'm joking. So thanks, Larry. And Larry's been working with the water rec as well, and we're trying to get that going again, Larry, and with the flooding issues. And it's complicated. It's not an easy issue, but we are working on it. And I know Larry Deachin's been working very hard on the flooding issues because I've been trying to get that effort going again. So hopefully we'll have good news to come on flooding issues in Oak Lawn. And also, Fox College, welcome. It's good to see everybody here. Thanks for coming. That's all I got, Madam President. Thank you.
Wonderful. Item 9 on the agenda, Village Manager's Report. I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Larry, for item 9A.
Thank you, Mayor and Board, and hopefully Fox College students, we want you back. So you've heard that. And Dr. Miller, you mind if I ask, just raising the hand, how many are studying to be paralegals? How many are in nursing or any other programs? You want to give me an idea, Doctor?
We have 18 in this class, 7 medical assistants, and the rest would be administrative assistants. So we've named them differently than what we don't have a paralegal program.
Okay. Well, you're in law and you're in medical. You saw some of the photographs of construction underway that Trustee Desmond showed you. Advocate Hospital is the busiest trauma center in the 12-state region. Later on, when I talk about snow and ice, there wasn't one call from the hospital that they had an issue and they needed Oak Lawn Public Works to come. Number 2, nobody died in a snow bank. Nobody had a trauma or frostbite case for lack of care from the village of Oak Lawn. So I guess one of my messages to you as students is not all that is said is what it seems to be. And my first item on the agenda kind of is important to state, just like we had some early remarks about economic development. We've heard all the remarks made towards that. We also had what I talked about in terms of the staffing agreement for emergency communications. And then we had this issue. All difficult issues where an issue is a policy where there are two sides. There can be two opinions or two ways at the very minimum to approach a problem. In this case, it has to do with how can we use technology to better provide public safety, particularly in a highly dense community with heavy traffic and a lot of turning movements. So the technology called red light camera enforcement uses cameras, so when you come to a corner, to hope that folks, drivers, actually do take a full stop and are cautious and don't turn on a red light because of the traffic. And so the village has been involved in a red light camera program since 2006 when a decision was made to go that route, and actually the program went into actual operation in the winter of 2008. So it's been in place in Oak Lawn for some time. And during the budget cycle, village staff and the administration were exposed to some new technology that's developed since 2006 and more competition in this industry. Our current carrier, Redflex, is an Australian company with offices in Phoenix. We decided to open the field and explained to our current carrier that we wanted to consider other intersections and we would take what's called an RFP, request for proposals for professional services. And we had 3 proposals, 3 wonderful companies who responded. Our current company, Redflex, an Australian company. Second company, Gatsos. Gatsos is a German company, again with offices in Beverly, Massachusetts. And the third was SafeSpeed, which is a company based in Chicago, Illinois. So our administrative team met to go over the proposals, which came in last Thursday. We looked at them over the weekend. We met on Monday. The team is comprised of our Chief of Police, Mike Murray, our Public Works Director, our Finance Director, our village engineer, myself, and my assistant. And we've been studying those proposals, and in light of what's on the agenda, I wanted to give the board an update on what my recommendation is. And if the board agrees with that recommendation, I believe we can have a full proposal to you for action on January 28th. I intend to reduce those 3 proposals to 2. I intend to reduce them so that the 2 finalists would be Redflex, our current company, and SafeSpeed, which is a new entry into the field, the Chicago company. I've spoken to the presidents of those 2 companies. I've invited them to give a presentation next Wednesday, the 22nd, time yet to be determined. I will publicly notice that meeting, so anyone who wants to attend it is welcome. And I have also reached out to Trustee Terry Borderer, who's our public safety police liaison, asked him to attend, and I certainly welcome attendance by any other members of the Board of Trustees. And our administration will draw straws. One will get to present first, 20-minute presentation followed by questions, and then the second one will make the presentation. After that meeting, we will go into a non-public meeting as a administrative team, discuss the presentation, the factual submittals, the finances involved, to make a recommendation for the board's action on January 28th. Item number 2, weather. To the gentleman, I think in the Green Bay jacket, who's been a frequent visitor here, and I want to disclose I'm a Chicago Bears fan, so I probably have a bias. And maybe that's why he left the room. I don't see him here yet. But we purchase snow through a competitive, cooperative bid issued by the state of Illinois. We've been doing that for years. We have not changed the practice. The actual
You mean salt,
contract,
right, Larry, not snow?
You got a lot
Say
of that.
snow,
You bought
salt.
a lot of that.
You bought a little
Yeah.
too much.
Did I buy too much? Well, we bought some salt, And we purchased that in March of 2013. And in that purchase, we purchased, get my numbers out here, to help the gentleman, we purchased 4,000, let me repeat, 4,000 tons. In that contract, because it's a cooperative bid and many, many municipalities purchase from the company, Salt has a regular scheduled delivery. Unfortunately, Mother Nature doesn't send us an email telling us when the first dump is going to be, the second dump, what hour, etc. So there are time periods between snowfalls, and the other gentleman mentioned one of our trustees. He was absolutely correct. We have had already, as of today, 18 snow events. And a snow event is when there's sufficient snow and/or ice building on the road that we'll get a call from a citizen at our 911, police will call, and our public works crew, which are 24/7 mode when we go into the snow season, are called, and we have to call in men and women in on overtime, or we deploy our men and women to handle those events. So we've already had 18 events, and we've used 3,100 tons of salt already. So how does that compare to other winters and years? There is a radical difference, but the real driving factor is events. So our emergency manager, Commander Clark, I'm going to have Art come up here to the podium. We, as Trustee Vorderer has indicated, back in 2007, 2008, made a decision to be better prepared when it comes to all kinds of emergencies, weather, natural disasters, events that may happen, terrorism, etc. And with the cooperation of the federal government, Cook County, state of Illinois, and our wonderful hospital, Advocate Hospital in this community, who's also been a key player, we've really established a fine program. And this gentleman here, I can tell you during this event, our number one most important concern would have been someone who's not as fortunate as anybody here in the room. They don't have a roof over their head. They may not have a home. And with those weather conditions, we wanted to make sure there was sufficient warming centers, and on a Sunday night that we would open this village hall and make sure that any man or woman who was distressed or had a need had a place to stay. That's our number one priority. It's called public safety. Yes, you want to make sure the streets are taken care of. Yes, you want to make sure that we're getting residential streets, like Tim mentioned, as quickly as we can get to. But we're in the life safety business. This gentleman here, who served multiple tours in Iraq, Afghanistan, and serves as someone who allows us to be here and have freedom, and also serves as a commander in this police department. We put him in charge of that program. I have full confidence in him, full communications back and forth with the mayor, back and forth with me. I did have communications by email with trustees over the weekend. And I'm 24/7. If there's a citizen or someone who has a concern, okay, Steve Barrett there, who's manning on a Saturday or a Sunday, picking up phones, answering, taking calls, there's no question about it. Our job is to do the best we can. And I always say, if you go to our website, we can always do a better job. We're not perfect by any means, but we do our very best we can. We did not change our procedure. We did not change our manpower deployment as part of the budget deliberations. The men and women who do this in and out every year, and the procedure we have is down pat, is pretty doggone good, but Mother Nature sometimes does make it difficult. Take it from there, Commander.
Okay, well, good evening, board and members of the public. What you're going to see here is a short presentation which just kind of encapsulates various reporting on events from each of the Oak Lawn departments that were involved. The snow event was broken down into 3 phases here. We did the pre-event. Those are the days leading up to the forecast of severe weather. So the steps that various departments took to advise the public or to get the employees ready to respond to the event. Then the major portion of the event was the 5th through the 8th. And then as a result of events of this nature, when you have that level of snow or that degree of cold weather and freezing, there's going to be follow-on events that occur as the thaw occurs, water main breaks, those kind of things. So that's what we're going to see here. Next slide, please.
Time out, I'm sorry, I forgive me. Ken Ritter, Division Manager for Water, probably one of the unsung heroes out there are the men and women who are fixing water breaks. During this period of time, whether in Bloomington, Illinois, New York City, or in Oak Lawn, water breaks with the freeze thaw and the dramatic drops or increases in temperatures, pipes are breaking because of age and stress. And the men and women that are under Ken's supervision are out there in these conditions fixing water mains. Trustee Desmond was absolutely correct. Those are the unsung heroes that are out there, are getting the job done. Commander.
Okay, so this is just basically a snapshot of the weather and snowfall and also temperatures. Temperatures there are the actual recorded temperatures, do not reflect wind chill, which was significantly higher during portions of the storm season. We had wind chills of between minus 30 and minus 40 degrees. Next slide, please. So what you'll see in the slides that follow is just little bullets from what each of the departments were doing. On the EMA side, we try to provide as much warning to the public as possible about the nature of the event, steps that you can take to prepare your home, stuff that you should have in your car, what you should do as far as contacting with your neighbors, or if you have people in your neighborhood or your family who have disabilities. Those informations are posted not only on the Oak Lawn Emergency Management Agency's Facebook page, but also on the village webpage, and then it is running as a continuous crawl on Channel 4, so residents would be able to see it there as well. Several updates were posted on the 2nd and 3rd once more information from the National Weather Service is becoming available, and I'm sure everybody was watching the news and stuff at their homes, so everyone knew what's coming on. For the police, the fire department, 911 center, we do cold weather events, so there are certain things that each department will be doing in terms of making sure that all their equipment is ready to go. Their officers or firefighters or employees are aware that, hey, these are the types of considerations to be thinking about. Public Works will not only be doing, at this time, they were finishing work on the snow event that they had on 12/31, so crews were already out doing snow removal or preparation work. They also dealt with several water main breaks which occurred on the 4th of January. Next slide, please. All right, during the major portion of the event, we had a couple of significant areas that we dealt with. There was a brief power outage in Oak Lawn the night of the 5th and into the morning of the 6th. We had 333 homes that were affected without power. Power was restored at 12:08 a.m. In the interim, I was on the phone dealing with Commonwealth Edison's agency representative, Katie Myers, also in contact with the watch commander to let them know that here are the areas, the community that is affected without power. The watch commander did take one call from a resident saying, hey, our power is out. Is there a backup plan for what we can do if this is going to be a long duration event? We opened up the village hall, the auditorium, and we're prepared to take residents in here, or depending if the outage would grow or whatever, to adjust our plan for the other locations in the village that we could take people to get them out of the weather until the power was restored. Fortunately, power was restored in about 37 minutes. We had one major water event over at the trailer park on Cicero where a large number of the trailers had frozen pipes and water delivery in from the street into the trailer park itself was affected, so people did not have water for a period of time. Our property maintenance office, myself, and the owner and contractors who work for the trailer park resolved that problem so those people did not have to move out of their trailers. Police department, fire department, 911 center were then in the mode of taking calls and responding to calls as they came in. And further at the end of this presentation, we'll talk about that. Next slide, please. All right. Here's a little snapshot of some of the major things that Public Works was dealing with. It had 9 additional water breaks during this 3-day period. They also had residents calling regarding 31 individual frozen lines into residential homes.
We have 22,000 homes. That's our 22,000, just to give you in perspective, 22,000.
Okay. On the 5th, the garbage contractor advised that because of the severity of the weather, not only with the snow, but also the temperatures and their concern for their crews operating and, picking up trash on Monday, we sent out an Everbridge message, also posted it on the village website, and advised people that scheduled pickups for the Monday was going to shift one day at that time. That was their plan.
Let me stop right there. I take full responsibility, and I apologize to anybody who was inconvenienced. We've talked this over as a team, and I think we information overloaded, and we sent 2 messages confusing. We sent the messages in an effort to say that your solid waste company, Republic, which does an outstanding job, by the way, for the community, that they had already caught up by midweek, and they were now on the regular schedule. We sent another message out. All we did was confuse folks, because not everybody is looking at their iPhone or constantly looking at text messages or message they receive. So we've looked at that. We're talking about it, but I take full responsibility. We could have handled that better.
Larry, I have one question. My understanding was it was the waste management company that made that decision to not pick it up.
That is correct. Sunday, they informed us, they asked, they said, this is only the 4th time in our history as a corporation that the weather has been so extreme that we've made a decision corporate-wide and with our employees and unions that represent our employees, that we're not going to put our men and women on the street Monday. Just like school officials on Sunday were making decisions, close or not close a school, concern about the health and safety of youth, so were other organizations making decisions. We accommodated the company. We thought it was the right decision, and we got a message out, and then the next message again, one more time. I accept full responsibility. I'm sorry. I believe that we confused some folks by that message, but we did keep, with the cooperation of both our Public Works and our Solid Waste Company, we ran an additional day Saturday. My observation from the complaints I received Friday from some of our trustees, I was out Saturday looking at garbage cans in neighborhoods, and they were picked up, and that, from what I can still at this point, that confusion was handled. Nobody had trash on their street for multiple days. Thank you, Art.
Okay.
Go. Thank you. Go
See
ahead,
me right here when the meeting's over. I'm not going anywhere.
Art. Okay, thank you.
Who'd they call?
Okay.
Called the mayor's office and I spoke to Carmen, and she kept saying that they were coming, that they were coming.
Carmi did notify the waste hauler.
Oh, I know.
Just, and we will get your garbage.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
that we didn't. I'm saying it's still there and they keep promising to come, she keeps coming.
Okay,
I'm not trying to blame them.
Right.
thank you.
Okay. The snapshot, you see the asterisk in the that reflects man hours expended during the operation by the Streets and Sewer Department. When we say streets and sewers, they're augmenting usually when the street department is in the plowing mode business. They will get augmented from sewer employees who are not dealing with sewer main issues, and they will also go out and man plows. Next slide, please. So we started doing post-event events starting on the 9th. Basically, our responsibility now is kind of collect all this data so that I can provide this to the Illinois Emergency Management Agency in Cook County so that they can keep data and then also see whether federal reimbursement is going to be available for any of these expenses. So this report is kind of as a result of that. The police department, fire department are back in their normal mode. You can see the notation there from the fire department. They did not have any difficulties or problems with maneuvering to calls. Additional 200 man hours were expended by Public Works during this period. Next slide, please. This is a snapshot, year-to-year comparison just from 2013 and 2014. Total number of calls received by the fire department and the police department. You can actually see during this event, calls to the police department actually were down in comparison to the previous year. And then we also looked at the total number of accidents which occurred during this period and the 2013 period as well. And you can see those figures there. Now, if you have any additional specific questions, department heads are here and they can answer those questions for you. Unless you have any other questions?
Thank you, Commander.
Okay. Thanks.
President, I have nothing further under my section.
Thank you. Excellent report. Number 10 is a request to approve a Planning and Development Commission referral for a special use permit to allow for a 4-unit building in an R1 zone district at 9443 South 55th Court. This was a 7-0 motion to approve. Petition 2013-33, Ronald Morgan, petitioner in District 2. And item 11 on the agenda is an ordinance granting that request. May I have a motion, please, on item 10 and 11?
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by trustee Olenichek.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Desmond. Any discussion, please, on these two items?
I would just like to add that this is a situation that we have in a couple areas in District 2 that are non-conforming multi-family use in Second District. These are specifically in neighborhoods that have been some of the earliest neighborhoods in the village of Oak Lawn, when at the time there was no ordinance against having multifamily. And this gentleman, to his credit, the landowner, and he's here, he came, filled out the paperwork to make sure everything was registered. At that time, that's when the village said, hey, we've got an ordinance that says that you can't have a multifamily. This is pre-existing. And is the petitioner in the audience? Could you?
Would you like to come to the podium, please, and state your name?
My name is Ronald Morgan. I've been a resident for 25 years.
Thank you.
And Mr. Morgan bought this property over 25 years, and all he's trying to do is make sure that he is current within the laws. And he also is having his son, which, is your son with you, sir?
Yes, sir.
His son is going to be the one that's going to be taking over ownership of the property, and that was a concern at the time that because it's non-conforming, would his son have issues? So all he asked for is to go up in front of the PD&C, and they did a very good job at listening to the issues and asked for this amendment to the ordinance. I can tell you that this property has been a rental property in Second District for as long as I've been a trustee, and probably even longer than that, maybe when I was in grade school. And there has been no issues there. I took a look at the police reports. Even in residents that came out to the public meeting had nothing but good things to say about this landlord. So that's why I strongly suggest that we move forward with this.
Very good. Any other discussion regarding item 10 and 11? Please call the roll.
Trustee Streit?
No.
Trustee Olenichek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thanks for coming out. Item 12 and 13 on the agenda. Item 12 is a request to approve a Planning and Development Commission referral for a special use permit to allow for the purchase of precious metals in a C2 zone district at 4710 West 95th Street. This is Unit 7B like boy. It was a 5-2 vote to approve. Petition 2013-34, Jacob Sadoff, petitioner in District 2. And item 13 is an ordinance granting that request. May I have a motion, please, on items 12 and 13?
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by trustee Olenichek.
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Vorder. Any discussion on this item? Or these items?
Madam President.
Trustee Vorder.
Yeah, I'd just like to point out that this is not an additional business of this nature. This is a business moving from one location, a Cicero Avenue location, to the shopping center at Coral Plaza. That's all.
And trustee Carberry.
Yeah, I know there was some concerns on the signage. I mean, is this
Trustee
pending?
Carberry, I think that the village manager answered those questions, and that's going to be taken care of in our review for the sign review.
Yes, Mayor and Board, Trustee Olenichek is absolutely correct. Our Architectural Design and Review Board met last Thursday, and they're working with the applicant to get a sign that is consistent with the overall design standards of the community.
That's what I was asking, if there was any update, that's all.
Very good.
They asked them to go back and make revisions. The applicant, I see him nodding in the audience, acknowledges that they're making revisions, and they'll be returning to that board.
And just so the board knows, I have talked to the residents, actually some of the businesses in the area, and there's actually a school that myself and Larry Deachin were able to talk to, and the concerns that they had were all addressed, and that's why I will be voting for this.
Very good. Any other discussion? Okay, please take the roll.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Olenichek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
And Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 14 is a request to approve a Planning and Development Commission referral for a 59.6 parking variation with additional miscellaneous variations at 6701 West 95th Street. This was a 7-0 vote to approve petition 2013-35. Greg Kolinsky, petitioner in District 1. And item 15 is an ordinance granting that request. May I have a motion, please, on items 14 and 15?
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by
Second.
Trustee Desmond, seconded by Trustee Olenichek. Any discussion regarding this item, or these items? Please take the roll.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Olenichek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
And Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 16 is a request to approve the Planning and Development Commission referral for variation from ordinance number 11-1842 regarding flat work and impervious surfaces at 4818 West 98th Place. This is an 8-0 vote to approve petition 2014-1, Marianne Kazmarek, petitioner in District 3. And item 17 is an ordinance granting that request. May I have a motion, please, on these two items?
Yes.
Trustee Streit, are you
Thank
making
you.
the motion?
I will make the motion. I just want to point out in respect to the comments made by resident John, and I apologize with the name, but Bolikis but this particular parcel is a home. It's a single-family home with a garage, and all the petitioner is asking to do is to remove the garage and build a new one. So I think the point I would like to make is that, and I do appreciate your diligence on in ensuring that we keep our honor our codes, but the impervious surface ordinance was put in place so that we would have a standard that we could strive for, but variations are something that there's a reason for variations. This is a good reason to have one. The people have a house and they need a garage, and so I'm going to move that we approve this.
Okay, properly moved by Trustee Streit,
I'll second.
seconded by Trustee Vorderer. Any other discussion?
Bob, actually, as
Trustee
I,
Vorder?
yes, I'm sorry, Mayor. As I read this, there's actually an increase in surface area with the removal of the pool. There was a pool on that property, and they took it out. They're expanding the garage by 2 feet. There's actually an additional surface area as a result.
Madam President?
Yes.
I think, I'm not sure if you're reading in the P&D minutes, but the problem was when we took the petition at P&D, the calculation of the percentage of the variance from our 50% flat work standard, the original calculation did not include the pool. So we modified that at the board level with planning and development. So instead of a 67% variation, it moved to 71. So we actually, initially the pool, so my understanding, the pool's remaining, it's just that wasn't included in the.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
it's remaining, and as Trustee Streit indicated, it's for the construction of a new garage. That was the only increase in the impervious.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Trustee Olenichek.
Yeah, it's Trustee Streit correctly stated that this ordinance, which is less than 3 years old, I believe, since we put it in, was specifically brought in so we wouldn't have the issues of people, prior to this, they would be able to do whatever they wanted to do from the the sidewalk into their backyards. Putting this in, this gives us the ability to look at any type of flat work that's going to be done there, so that way we can ensure that if there is a reason, it's a legitimate reason, that we do have people that are getting permitted for this, so we can regulate the amount of impervious service that is going out there. So I just wanted to make sure that this is doing what the resident that's out there is concerned with. It's just that there's a lot more people asking for variances because you can't just throw cement up in your backyard anymore.
Any other discussion on items 16 and 17? Please, are you the petitioner? Okay, would you care to come to the podium then and identify yourself, please? So state your name for the record.
Mary Ann Kiasmerick. Yes, we are replacing an existing garage that has been on the property for 59 years. And we were told by our homeowner's insurance company they were going to cancel our homeowner's insurance policy because they deemed the garage unsafe and unfit. So there is a safety issue that's also here. But I do want to say, with the meeting, with the planning committee, and our discussion, so that he knows, this wasn't just something that they voted yes on. We had a diligent discussion about it. They gave me some ideas that I never would have even thought of, and that is we are going to put up rain barrels so that the water will run from the garage, from the gutters, into a rain barrel, and the water will be collected in the rain barrel. So I don't want, his suggestion saying that they're just okaying everything. This wasn't something that I brought forward and they just okayed. There was diligent discussion between everybody. And, to me, I'm going, it's only 2 feet from what's already existing there. But in the process of that discussion, we also found a solution for the extra water that possibly would be there.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Please take the roll.
Trustee Strite?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Border?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Enjoy your new garage. Thank you. Item 18 is ordinance 140105. This is an ordinance authorizing the sale of surplus personal property owned by the village. May I have a motion on item 18, please?
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by
Second.
trustee Vorder and seconded by trustee Carberry. Any discussion on this item? Please take the roll.
Trustee Strite?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Border?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 19 is Resolution 140101, resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Oak Lawn and IDOT pertaining to a traffic signal modernization project at Illinois 50, Cicero Avenue, and Southwest Highway. May I have a motion, please, on item 19?
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by trustee Oliniechek,
Second.
seconded by trustee Vorder. Any discussion? Trustee
I
Oliniechek.
would like to thank our Representative Kelly Burke for all the work that she did with this, as long as Mr. Cunningham from the state, and our Commissioner Daley, Mr. Daley, that helped out with this. And just so people understand some of the things that are going to be done, this is for the general modernization of existing traffic signal, which will consist of signal heads per lane at all directions, emergency vehicle preemption, illuminated LED street name signs, and the most important thing, based off of a tragedy that happened 2 years ago, we are going to have pedestrian signal heads and push buttons with a timed walk across. So I do appreciate all the help from all of our representatives and the support of this board to make this a better intersection, and I will be voting for it.
Thank you. And it was a long process, and trustee Oliniechek, it was always top on your list of things to keep working at, so thank you. Any other discussion on this item? Please take the roll.
Trustee Strite?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Border?
Yes.
Motion passes.
So we're now on item 20, which is Resolution 140102. This is a resolution approving Environmental Cleansing Corporation's bid to demolish the property at 4830 West 111th Street, also known as Flapjacks. May I have a
Motion to
motion?
approve.
Properly moved by trustee Carberry,
Second.
seconded by trustee Oliniechek. Any discussion on this item? Please take the roll.
Trustee Strite?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Border?
Yes.
Motion passes.
21 on the agenda is Resolution 140103. This is a resolution approving EcoClean Maintenance Incorporated's custodial services bid. May I have a motion on item 21, please?
Motion approved.
Properly moved by trustee Carberry,
Second.
seconded by trustee Warder. Any discussion on this item? Please take the roll.
Trustee Strike?
No.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vaughn?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1.
Thank you. We're moving on to item 22, which is Resolution 130104. This is a resolution authorizing the execution of the First Amendment to the option and site lease agreement between the Village of Oak Lawn and a new Singular Wireless LLC. May I have a motion on 22, please?
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by trustee Vorderer,
Second.
seconded by trustee Carberry. Any discussion on this item?
I do have a question on this. I don't notice a hold harmless agreement in there. Is that part of this lease?
It's part of the original lease, trustee Oliniechek. This is the First Amendment, which identifies the portions that our tenant, the new Singular Wireless, which I believe is AT&T. We went through this with village staff, Tom Swaw, our IT department. These will be coming rather frequently. We're seeing these all over. Obviously, technology is growing in the wireless field, and unfortunately, municipalities are slower to catch up with it, all the upgrades and things like that. So what we wanted to maintain in this amendment is obviously a new lease payment amount, obviously raise the rent as the market is bearing now, and also the ability to make sure that they come back for proper permit request when, if and when they need to upgrade their facility. So that was our goal in this First Amendment, and that's what we've kept.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure the hold harmless still would be intact.
It's still part of the original lease.
And it looks like the increase in revenues is fairly substantial.
If I could comment on that briefly, trustee. You'll see that this agreement was executed by the village in 1996, and I recommended to the board when I came here that we needed to upgrade our ordinance and have a master communications ordinance to try to co-locate antennas. So we've been meeting with businesses and trying to up the revenue and any new telecommunication towers that come in. We tried to either get them to build a stealth tower or co-locate on an existing structure, and we also are more market-driven on what we charge. So it does reflect an increase.
Thank you, nice work.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this item? Please take the roll.
Trustee Strike?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so we're going to move on to item 23 now, which is our village clerk's report. Jane, you have the floor.
All right. Approval of semi-monthly disbursements, number 2013-23D, in the amount of $1,402,838.12.
May I have a motion, please, on item 23A?
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by trustee Carberry,
Second.
seconded by trustee Desmond. Any discussion? Please take the roll.
Trustee Strike?
No.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1.
Item 23B.
All right. Approval of semi-monthly disbursements, number 2014-01D, in the amount of $4,674,041.59.
May I have a motion, please, on item 23B?
Motion approved.
Properly moved by trustee Carberry,
Second.
seconded by trustee Desmond. Any discussion? Please take the roll.
Trustee Strike?
No.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1. Couple more things, Mayor.
Okay.
On the move, voter registration. I'll be at the Oakview Center at 4625 West 110th Street on Tuesday, January 21st, from 6 to 7 p.m. to register people to vote. and please bring 2 forms of ID. And I've got something else here that is new with the county. Beginning January 1st, 2014, most Illinois 17-year-olds will be eligible to register and vote in a primary election, a first in our state's history. There's a few requirements here. You have to be a U.S. citizen, be born on or before November 4th, 1996, live at the address listed on your registration at least 30 days prior to the election, and not claim the right to vote anywhere else. And if anybody has any questions on that, I can answer them. And I know it's difficult sometimes when you do call our 636-4400 number. It's a long message. If anybody wants to get directly to the clerk's office, please call 708-499-7738. I get a lot of calls, and people are kind of held up a little bit, so we are working on that and doing the best we can. Thank you.
Thanks. And your direct line is also on the website as well?
Exactly.
Under the village clerk. Okay. 24 is the village president's report. We're going to discuss 24A first. This is a request to approve a Class I liquor license. This is restaurant liquor, bar permitted, live entertainment permitted for Avenue Flower Shop at 10632 South Cicero Avenue in District 6. And item 24B is an ordinance granting that request. May I have a motion, please, on item 24A and B? Properly moved by trustee Carberry.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Vorderer. Any discussion on this item?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond.
Why does a flower shop need a license to have live entertainment in a restaurant?
Trustee Carberry, it's in your district. Would you like to address that as the petitioner?
Tim, this was an existing business that was...
President, I'd be
recently
more than
sold.
happy to help you a little bit historically. This was a flower shop, and it approached the village several years ago, went before the board. Quite novel and innovative. And with the changing industry, and the gentleman spoke earlier about retail, retail is really, really changing. It's a different business out there. So they said, can we try out the new concept and have a wine and flower shop? It was a businesswoman from Evergreen Park who was the owner. Turned out to be very, very successful. She's an executive with a corporation that has recently relocated her to South America, and she found another responsible buyer that expressed an interest, and with the real estate owner, a longtime Oak Lawn real estate owner, Mr. Goffus, that's how the concept materialized. But they've been there fairly well period of time.
Well received by the residents.
Well received by the residents.
So they have a liquor license?
And Tim, I take my wife there, I buy her a rose and a glass of wine, keep it
Yeah.
pretty nice.
I know it. I'm aware of the business, and it's a great
Yeah.
like I said, novelty business. I'm just curious. Are they renewing their liquor license?
Actually, I had a discussion with trustee Quinlan as well about this, and she said exactly what trustee Carberry said. She's had a lot of positive reports from neighbors and that it's a Cheers in a different style, local establishment, and neighbors do go there. So what's happened, it appears that more and more people are interested in not traveling as far and like to go to establishments like this in Oak Lawn,
Yeah,
which is great.
Larry, Pat has a comment, our attorney.
Madam Mayor.
So it's the same liquor license, it's just being, okay, just...
Okay,
to a different-
and,
Okay, that clears it up.
Mr. Conley, would you care to expand on that?
Sure, and that was exactly it, Trustee Desmond. It's per our code, when ownership changes by more than 50%, and we have a few levels of that. For example, I think in this instance, there was a purchase of the LLC that was running the operation. When that happens, the ownership changes, they're required to apply for a new license.
Okay, and again, I know the business, and it's one of those business that we would like to see more of, innovative, willing to, try something new. Hopefully we can get more of that type of positive thinking into our retail.
On that note, just briefly, I don't want to take much of your time, but in your presentation, trustee, you showed one of the proposed new tear down in a new medical building. I can tell you, I spoke to the doctor this afternoon. She was kind enough to call me before your presentation to give authorization of that rendering, because their architect from Oak Park is very, very excellent architect, and he'll be going before the Planning and Zoning Board in February. And it has a parking deck in the rear that they're going to construct. But she wanted me to share with you that she's working very diligently to get some retail as part of the medical offices that's related to what her practice is. Illinois Women's Institute is involved with medicine that also has pediatric care component. And so they're looking for children's clothing or related type business. And she's been talking to some very, very attractive national retail tenants that are interested in coming on 95th Street. And I think that would be a wonderful addition, and I wish her success.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this item, these items? Please take the roll.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorders?
Yes.
Motion passes.
24C, Commissioner Eggert, thank you for your patience with us. We're finally getting there. I want to apologize for the ambiguous way this was placed on the agenda. This is Planning and Development Commission appointments, reappointments. I'd like a motion, please, to approve an appointment for Mrs. Pina Peruta, District 6. May I have a motion, please, on
Yes, motion to.
properly moved by Trustee Carberry.
Second.
And seconded, I believe that was Alex Oliniechek, Trustee Oliniechek seconding it. Any discussion on this item?
Yes.
Trustee Streit?
Well, my question would be, two questions, actually. One is, I believe that our code, and the attorney would please address this issue, is that our code allows for the appointment of 3 commissioners in 1 year, so we're beyond that at this point.
Right, and I'll explain that, Trustee Streit, after we move through, that'll be the next thing.
Couldn't you explain it before you vote on it? I'd like to know how we can vote on it if we only allow 3.
Well, the item we're voting is the appointment in District 6, and that's not really one of the
Okay, then that's, all
concerns,
right,
so.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay,
That'd
that's
be
fine.
if you want to take one at a time, I
Yeah.
agree. There are 3 spots right now, but if you want to take one at a time and address it that way.
Correct, because that's the way all these appointments are done, as you know. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item? Okay, please take the roll.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorders?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. She will add a lot to that commission. Thank you for the
Thank
recommendation.
you, Madam President. She'll do a great job.
So Oak Lawn has recently completed a corridor study of Harlem Avenue, and currently we're participating in a 95th Street corridor study, a Cicero Avenue corridor study, and a Ridgeland corridor study. The recommendations of these studies are complex and will impact Oak Lawn for generations. It's important to take those recommendations to heart whenever possible. And to facilitate this, I'm proposing to this board an advisory panel which will report and interact with our Planning and Development Commission. Mr. Paul Vale's credentials have been included in your packet, and I'd like a motion to approve Mr. Vale as the chair of this new advisory panel. His responsibilities would be to attend every planning and development meeting and act as a liaison between management, the board, and the commission to implement and advise on the recommendations of these corridor studies. So he's not replacing anyone, but trying to take some of the workload from you and in a more organized fashion. So I'd accept also nominations for consideration for 2 others. I'd like 3 on this panel with Mr. Vale as the chair. And if you get me any recommendations for that, we can vote on them as soon as the next meeting, assuming everything is done. The rationale for this panel is to appropriately implement the recommendations made by these studies in a way that will not dramatically affect the already extremely large workload that these commissioners have. You do a fantastic job, but this would be someone who attends every meeting, and can guide you. Was this one of the recommendations? Wasn't it? So I'd like a motion, please, to nominate Mr. Paul Vale to chair this advisory panel of the Planning and Development Commission.
So go ahead, sir.
Okay, properly moved by trustee Warder and seconded by trustee Carberry. Any discussion now of this item?
I know the name. I did look through these credentials. I just wanted to confirm if he did graduate from Mount Carmel or not.
It's as it was in the packet.
No,
Okay, very good.
No more Carmel grads for the.
No more? Well, we might have to chat. Okay, so any other discussion?
Madam Mayor, I just want to thank you for having the foresight to see that, as Trustee Desmond has talked about, and we already are seeing a development where we're redeveloping some banks. You've got Walgreens coming in, you got some more medical coming in, and that's the 95th Street corridor. That does not include the Cicero corridor. And based off of the information that's coming in the building of Mariano's, we're going to have a lot of development coming into this village, especially if the economy remains strong like it looks like it's going to be, and nobody can predict, but I think it's good because I do know that being at some of the PD&C meetings, I think that some of their meetings last longer than some of our meetings. So I think it's good to be able to get more people involved and to be involved in their community. So,
Right. Very good. And these individuals would not have a voting authority also. Trustee Carberry, then trustee Desmond.
And I did want to thank again, Tim, thank you for this report. And I don't know if you put a dollar value to it, but I imagine it would be well into the millions and millions and millions of dollars of construction. So that was a great report to see it all condensed like that. It is a lot going on. And I do think this, the gentleman, his credentials, Paul Vale's credentials, will be a big help to the board. And I know, Pina Peruta would be, I think, the only female
Yes,
on the board, which is a good thing, right? And
sometimes.
yeah, and maybe the first, right? Is that?
I
do we
don't know. Commissioner Eggert, we've had.
Marcia
One?
Marners.
Mark Marners.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brenda,
Great.
yeah.
One.
Trustee
Number two,
Desmond.
then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you, madam.
yeah, from this report, we've seen the work done on 111th Street, all the work being done on 95th Street, and I would challenge our new advisory board under Paul to take a look at 87th Street. It's about time we turned our attention to the north side of town.
Excellent. Any other comments, Commissioner Eggert?
No, thank you.
Okay, very good. And thank you for hanging around for that. I'm sorry, it was a little too lengthy to get into before.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we're going to move on. We've got to take the roll. Thank you.
Trustee Straight?
yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Motion passes.
In District 5, I'd like a reappointment, please, to this commission of Mr. Bill Lundy. May I have a motion, please, on
Motion to
Mr.
approve.
Properly moved by trustee Carberry.
Second.
Excuse me. Seconded by trustee Oliniechek. Any discussion? Please take the roll.
Trustee Straight?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And one of the at-large commissioners, Mr. Rich Piazza. I'd like a motion, please, for his reappointment to this
Motion
commission.
approved.
Properly moved by trustee Oliniechek.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Desmond. Any discussion? Please take the roll.
Trustee Straight?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek? Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Item D, our website is now live. This is the new website. Village staff have done an amazing job. I want to thank Josh. I want to thank everyone who did such a fantastic job with this website. It's beautiful. I want to publicly congratulate them on this impressive effort. The new website allows us to more closely interact with residents. It allows searches and it works better overall. We are so excited about it. One of the enhancements that really, really makes me happy, and I'm so proud of, is it allows us to make our government more transparent. The Illinois Policy Institute ranks municipalities on transparency, and back in May, when I took office, Oak Lawn's score was about 41.5%. This put us right between Cicero and Decatur. It wasn't something residents could be very proud of, and I'm very proud to announce that as of today, Mr. Costin from the Illinois Policy Institute said that Oak Lawn's transparency score is now 86.1%, and Oak Lawn now qualifies for the Sunshine Award. So that is an amazing accomplishment in a few months, in addition to the new website. So this was a great and coordinated effort by staff on behalf of residents who want to learn more about their village. I sincerely want to thank them. And of course, our goal is 100% as soon as possible. So I can assure you that we are not going to rest until then. But for now, I am just thrilled that we have more than doubled our transparency score. It's an absolutely fantastic job, everyone. I can't thank you enough. And then for general village matters, the weather has been crazy. We've had blizzards, cold, floods, water main breaks. The village staff really, really cared and gave it their all with professionalism and pride. And I also want to thank the media as well for helping to get the word out about the severe weather and the communication. And with that, I'd like a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Properly moved by Trustee Olenichek.
Second.
Seconded in stereo, but I'm going to give it to Trustee Desmond. Any discussion? Please take the roll.
All in favor?
Aye.